Hello, welcome to our weekly transits. And today I wanted to start out with looking at this chart of dignities. Dignities is what it's called, dignities and debilities, because it's nice to kind of think of some of this when, we go through our moon signs, because we go through, like 4 different moon signs during the week. And I'll point these out when I go over them, but just that we probably are pretty comfortable or hopefully familiar with rulership. And this is the traditional rulerships for the most part, and the inner planets. I think it's just easier um, to work with this. And a lot of, like Pluto rulerships and exaltations, it's really not written in stone yet because it's so new. But anyway, the rulerships are um, the the signs that each planet rules. And I'm going to start with sun and moon just because it's easier this way. So sun, we know, is the ruler of Leo, and when the sun is in Aries, it's called exalted. So its home is Leo. It likes to be there. Sun likes to be in Leo. It's comfortable there. And if it's not in Leo, the next best place that it likes to be is in Aries, and that's what exaltation is. If you're not in your home sign, this is your home away from home. You're the honored guest. And then what you will find with the other two, detriment and fall, one is always opposite the other. So rulership and detriment are opposite. So if the sun is in its rulership in the Leo, it's going to be in its detriment in the sign opposite of Leo or Aquarius, and we'll see that right there. And then the same the other way around. If it's in its exaltation in Aries, it's going to be in its fall in Libra. Okay. And then we go to the moon. The moon is home in Cancer. It's exalted. It feels good in Taurus. I mean, it makes sense, right? There's a typo there. Darn it. I thought I would find one that didn't have that they had them all the way through. I'm sorry. I will find another one. That should be Capricorn. Anyway, Capricorn should be there just in your mind, just substitute Capricorn. So moon is not happy there. And then its fall is in Scorpio. It's not happy there either. It's too, focused on it. The moon wants to be just, kind of left alone and kind of chill. So anyway, I'm glad I caught that. So anyway, those two kind of form the only singletons, right? The only just one all the way through, and all the rest of them have a male and a female, an outward and an inward rulership. So if we start with Mercury, we'll see that its rulership in Gemini is masculine, and its rulership over to Virgo is feminine. It's exalted in Virgo as well. I'm not going to get into this why at the moment, but I just want you to see this. I'll have to do it in another one, but this is just the transits, just to kind of know this. So then we go opposite of the rulership, and here we have the detriment and Sag and Pisces, and then opposite of Virgo and Pisces. So Pisces is kind of weak in, Mercury and Pisces is detriment and fall. So this is very interesting. Okay, and then Venus, you'll see it's 2 as well. The feminine is Taurus, and masculine is Libra, and then we have its opposites. And then we have Mars. Anyway, I'm not going to go through all of them that way, but that's something of interest to note. All right, now I'm going to share. We'll go back over to what's going on today because I want to point out our week ahead. And, we've been kind of focusing on like what the moon is doing each week. And this week, we kick off the week with the moon in Leo. So the Leo moon, is real lively. It's real dramatic. It's on stage. It wants to be, we all have that need to want to be recognized, applauded, appreciated. It's kind of, makes us a little bit overreact or dramatize. So that's it could be more vain during this period. So that's our Leo moon, but it's also energetic. But it's not the moon. What else is what I wanted to note? Other things that are in detriment or in a good phase while the moon is in Leo. So if the moon's in Leo, then Saturn is its detriment in Leo. So Saturn is not happy here. Okay, the moon's okay with it, but Saturn is not. Saturn's like, meh. So everything has a detriment, a quality like that. So this is just kind of interesting to note. It's just a little bit, every time moon's in Leo, Saturn is in its detriment. Just, it's interesting to think that way. Okay, then we have it moving into Virgo. And then that's where Mercury is exalted. Mercury is in home and exalted. And then Venus is in its fall in Virgo. Venus isn't happy. It's like you can't please everybody, right? And then we move into well, our Virgo moon is, that's real discriminating. It's detail oriented. It wants to fix things. It's fussing. It's helpful. It's good to, troubleshoot. It's good to get, more health conscious, get on your supplement regimens, get your health things thought and sought out. It's work oriented, wants to get things done. Duty, paying attention to diet, hygiene, daily schedules. We can use these moon phases. So I like to point these out so we can work with them all week. It's kind of hard for me sometimes to think a month ahead. The moon is changing every 2 days, 2.5 days. So I like to think of them at, a group of them, a fourth of them, a quadrant of them. Okay, so then it'll go into Libra. We'll have our Libra moon, it seems kind of nice. Saturn, went from being in its detriment in Leo, and 2 signs later, it's exalted. So Saturn will get to go, get to feel better in Libra. But then the sun is its fall in Libra. So the sun will be, why am I saying that? What do I want to say about that? No, well, that it is, but I just wanted to point out, okay, Mars, that's what I'm sorry, you're looking at the wrong thing. Mars is its detriment in this sign, because it's wanting to be in Aries, right? So it's in its detriment when it's in Libra. But anyway, Libra is also good for relationships, partnerships, smoothing things over, creating balance. You may find maybe a little bit more emotional imbalance or emotional tugging. When we have the Leo, Libra moon, it's also maybe more, you can maybe reach a compromise better. If you have to do a compromise on something and you don't want to give up your bottom line, it might be good to plan it on the Libra moon if you can. Anyway, then we go into the Scorpio moon near the, at the end of the week. We come around next week, and it's really intense. The moon does not like to be there. It's in its fall, and Venus is in its detriment. So it's an intense mood. We have two planets, that are just not liking that intensity. It's not liking that, it's like when the moon's there, it feels everything to the nth degree. It's just so touchy. It's like it overreacts, kind of. It's passion and it's joy, it's wonderful, and it's jealousy and it's betrayal and it's love. It's just all this back and forth, and then it's got a crazy emotional tone to it on that. So as we go into next week, we'll be into this mood. So what I want you to think about, that is traditionally what, let's say, Dusty White, who has a metaphysical school, but he just wrote a book called The Easiest Way to Learn Astrology Ever. And it is an amazing book. Let me just show you the cover of it. But I want to mention this because he's the first person that I've heard talk about quadrants. And that's a group of 4. So this week, the moon is in the second quadrant. It would be Leo, Virgo, Libra, and Scorpio. We just went through. Doesn't always line up like that, but it is. But in his book here, he talks about it. But this is so clever. I mean, just the cover of this is very, very clever. It's like we start with Aquarius, the water bearer. It pours a fish out of there, and it's in here. And then we have the what is it? The indestructible force meets immovable object. Aries goes into Taurus, and then we have the twins here. Messing with things, curious about everything. And here, look at, she's messing with the crab. And then here we have the vain Leo, and the Virgo is, messing with his tail. And then here's Sagittarius, the shiny object syndrome, being lured over here by Scorpio. And then Sagittarius shoots the arrow, and it goes through Capricorn's flag up on the top of the mountain. So I think it's really clever, but it's a very, very good book. And in this book, he talks about quadrants. And let me give you a new share. quadrants are every 4 signs. So, the first quadrant is, first, second, third, and fourth houses or signs, I should say, just so it would be this in the natural flow of things, it would be Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer. So if the moon is in that area, it's much more selfish. It's about the self. It's about getting your stuff together. When it's in this one that we're this week, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, it's about others. It's about the tribe. It's about relations. It's about other people. And then when it goes next week, we get Sag, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces. That's the more egalitarian third octave of I will sacrifice myself for you. Here, look at me protesting for you on your behalf because you don't know to do it. Look at me protesting for you. It's just things like that, are that I don't know, Mike Adams on making Brighteon is pretty Aquarian third octave egalitarian, doing something for others, creating an AI interface that they're feeding in all good information, a lot of truths, not garbage in, garbage out that we're being faced with. So there's a lot of good third octave doing things for the masses in a good way kinds of things out there. I just wanted to give you a quick thought of that. So when we cycle around these, they don't always line up like this. Sometimes it's the quadrant, or half of one, but this week, this part, it's kind of cool. And I wanted to point that out a little bit because it's a nice way of thinking about this in a group, as then we dissect it every day. That little long story just kind of brings us over to, I'm trying to move this out of my way, brings us over to this week. Okay, so we kind of start out with this week with that theme, our moon is in the Leo, and then we just kind of have that, I don't know, to me, it's a little bit more vibrant, but I'm a fire sign. So it just kind of stirs things up. It kind of heats stuff up. It kind of gets things going. It's a fixed sign, But what else we have this week, what we've been growing into and getting, it's more perfected, is this Mars square Pluto. Mars, the two malefics square. Oh, look at that. Mars just passed it. So shoot, it's just like that. But it sometimes it doesn't take effect till after. So it's like, it's not, it's like being careful of, it's easy to say not healing words. Your intentions may be misconstrued. It's a square. A square is a square, and we got two malefics. And Mars does that often, in its orbit twice. But yeah, that's intense. So I would expect to have some really interesting world news coming out as this is going on today. Maybe tomorrow's things as poo-poo hits the fan on a lot of ways. There could be some harsh words, some harsh actions, some things brought up. I mean, both ways. I mean, rightly so, people getting punished for their evil deeds, or it could also be, still one-upping the little man, So anyway, that's disruptive. And then we also have Mercury in what is it as? Where is it? There it is. Mercury in a square and a half to Pluto. So that's another annoying. It's just a little bit more than a square and a half. It's just a little bit more noise as it starts to see. It's not quite at that trine, so it's still at that annoying noise. So we have maybe Mercury reporting on news. It always is more communicative. It's in that triplet here of Gemini, but being over almost in trine, getting closer to a trine to Pluto could be bringing things up from the depths, could be communicating yucky things. And I think today, or what was it about, what did I hear? Really some of their, Hunter Biden has charges and laptops for real. Okay, so that's what's come out. So that's what I mean. It's just like yucky stuff you don't want to hear about, but nonetheless, there it is. There's much more. And that's just one thing I just heard already, but I just wanted to point out, just like yucky, icky. Like really nice. But anyway, what we're coming into, we have all this prelude of all this Gemini stuff. And if you haven't noticed, things have gotten communicative, busy. I find Gemini people are just on to the next, on to the next, and then they just forget and leave stuff, a trail of things, just curious, like, oh, okay, I'm done with that, and they leave it down. So here, we're kind of picking up a trail of, Gemini baggage right now as we're going through all of this. But what's going to happen here, you can see the sun and its entourage, as I like to call it, is, with Venus not more than like 45 or so degrees away from the sun, and Mercury not more than 28 degrees away from the sun, are always hovering close, so they move together. You can see how close the degrees are getting, and we know Mercury's got a quick orbit, and it's going to zoom over this, and then all three will be moving into Cancer. So we'll get a new playing field going on there. Okay, a lot coming into Tuesday. Like tools here. All right, that sets the stage. Now, moving into Wednesday, we've got our Mercury square Saturn. So we went from two malefics, Mars and Pluto, now to Mercury and Saturn. So here's more. Mercury, was square and a half over to Pluto. Now it's square over to Saturn. So it's, again, more stuff, more responsibility, authority, maybe rigid thinking, maybe not able to adapt to certain rules, that are put in place or set in place, or maybe getting in the way. Maybe authority that's not valid, that's based on things that need to be upgraded. So that's kind of a frustrated factor that is coming up. And then later we get the moon moving into Virgo. It's like here, I already have it for 3 in the afternoon. So it goes from, again, that outward Leo to the inward Virgo, and it starts to discriminate and make order of, make sense, put things, but it's kind of like cracking the whip too. Just watch the words that we say on this one. So is that all on that one? Yes. Yeah, I think that's all I want to say on that one. Okay, so now moving to the next thing. Look at, we went from 19 to 22. Look at Mercury's flying. 19 yesterday on Wednesday. Look, it's almost like, into the heart of the sun. It's it's just a matter of degree how it goes, but look at there. And then here, where's our moon? We got the moon will be just about, half. When we look at it in the sky, it'll be halfway towards full, and it gets full the day after we move into the summer solstice. Sun changes signs, it moves into, to Cancer, and then the moon becomes full. It's just like boom, boom. But then we also have the moon squaring Saturn on Thursday. So can kind of be, this is a sort of odd, Felix Unger and I don't know, I can't remember the odd couple, the sloppy and the neat freak meeting here. Or, but we got the moon as being the neat freak, and we got Saturn as being sloppy. It's kind of usually maybe the other way around, so it might be people stepping up to doing, their fair share of stuff. I don't know, if some kind of a, the moon is not afraid to speak out a little bit here, and it's, it's where it's going to take advantage of Saturn being weak, I think. So anyway, just watch that on Thursday. I think that's just kind of makes me laugh. I don't know why. It's funny. Anything else here? Moon there. Then the moon also, do we have the square over to, yeah, the moon will then also make a square over to Mercury. So here's again, Mercury being challenged, information, and it's being, it's the moon as it goes through Virgo is going to square this, the whole entourage, Mercury, Sun, Venus. So it'd be a little dicey kind of, I think, Thursday. So just kind of watch that. Yeah. And on Friday, we got moon moving into Libra, and then it's as soon as it goes in, it'll make that trine over to Pluto. So this is kind of interesting, so it's like, maybe getting to the depth of some emotional dilemma, maybe getting some relationship depths identified, maybe moving and airing something out that has been kind of stuck. So it's kind of a good moon energy to do that. And then we've got but we got a little bit of irritation here with the, just pointing out a few of these this week. Mars making a semi-square over to Saturn. It's just that square and a half there, and it's just a little annoyance. It's a little irritation. It's not quite out of that degree yet. It's sort of like running into a wall with things. You might be tempted to, what is that expression? Throw pearls before swine, that kind of thing. But then the moon, it opposes as it goes, well, right, see, just like a little bit back. I don't want to go there, but when it was in the back, right in Virgo there, it was opposing Neptune. So things can get a little confusing at the end, like before it moves into Libra. So that would be earlier in the day on Friday, when it's still at the end of Virgo. So things can get kind of fuzzy and muddled. So just watch that. And then there's also a grand air trine now coming in on Friday. So we've got the moon, in the early degrees of Libra, and then we've got Pluto right here at 1 degree Aquarius, and then we've got Jupiter and Gemini. So we've got a nice air trine happening. It could be like closed circuit thinking things, onto themselves. It's really dynamic for sure. But we don't need to get caught up in everything that goes on, with all this air and all this Gemini energy. It's like we don't have to get caught up in all of the workings, mechanics, intricacies, or just caught up in all kinds of the morass of the mundane. All right, anything else in here that I wanted to talk about now? We talked about that. Okay, so moving on into Saturday. Moon over the South Node in the collective at that degree. So it's kind of like, I think this has got to be on a higher level. I think the powers that be, those running things, there's got to be an emotional or spiritual truce, a balance point of things. And I think people, we have to pray that justice starts to come, that, I don't want to hear about being on the brink of war. I don't want to hear about war. I don't want to, but this is going to be a theme for a while, but we still can head things off and not agree to do this. We as humanity are, we got to hit a spiritual vibration that can help us all overcome this. And those of us that feel powerless to do things, I mean, some people are active outward, but otherwise we have to be active inward. And I think that's what the moon over the South Node in Libra will signify this month for us. This day, there's not really, this is kind of interesting. There's like not a whole lot of Ptolemaic aspects going on. It's just like not even a lot of moon aspects other than this conjunction here. So it's kind of a quiet day. What else? The only thing maybe we got, Mars, Mars in Taurus is just getting into that sign. It's just out of Aries, and it's just really kind of like, it's not where it wants to be. It's slowing way down, so it's interesting because the physical energy kind of slows, but then we've got all this mental energy speeding up. So there's just a little dichotomy there of a slow motion body, a highly active mind kind of energy happening there. Oh yeah, and then this look here, now we've got Mercury starting to go over. See, it just went over the sun. That's what I'm doing. There we go. So Friday, there was a conjunction that, Mercury just went over the sun. And then there it is, like now in the midpoint kind of. And then we go Sunday. We've got an interesting thing. We've got, this group here, right? And then Venus right on the edge of 29 of going over to where it feels a little bit more happy. But right there, then we also have Neptune at 29, and it's making a square. So before Venus can relax, she's got to square up and then kind of do some hazy. It reminds me of like Alice in Wonderland and whatever the thing was with the hookah pipe, it was like, it's kind of, I wasn't going to that way, but all of a sudden, it meets up with something that just brings some confusion over to it. So watch that on Sunday, some Venusian confusion. Venusian confusion. And then we also have Venus about to move into Cancer, and then we have the moon almost ready to move into Scorpio. So, it's kind of slightly dynamic day here, anything else on that one? So, it's like as we start moving into Cancer, our energy roots deeper. Oh, another thing about the Venusian confusion, it can also be tuning into the other side, tuning into, poetry, visions, intuition, learning a skill, sharpening up your mystical or metaphysical skills. Be careful of illusion and extra romance that need not be, because it also is like not seeing things, something's really clearly not, how do I want to say it? It's like not seeing where or what you thought that person was like or thing was like. It's like, oh, that's not what I thought. Oh, darn. So be careful of that. The illusion of something just so wonderful usually isn't. The sobering effect of like, oh no. So watch that. Any kind of mystical, magical illusion. But also the veil is thin, and you can use that for good meditation, spiritual practices. And then Monday, we're coming into now Mercury goes in, we had Venus moving into Cancer. Now Mercury moves into Cancer. So now we're going to get a different flavor. We get kind of a little softening maybe of all that chaotic air energy, with the other planets too. So, with Pluto there, and then we just came off that trine. But kind of a bit settling down, it'll deepen it, give more attention to home things, family, patriotism. This is that time of year when we get the trio moving in through the sign. So that takes us through the week. And again, think of things in those little lumps. So this week, the moon, as we focus in, we have that outward energy we feel today, Leo. Then we get that discriminating Virgo, we get the balancing Libra, and then we get the investigative Scorpio. So it's interesting to just, maybe make yourself notes or seeing how that is when it goes over certain planets in your chart. But as we come into the summer, yeah, be really interesting. What else? Mars, Mars moves, I meant to say Mars moves into Taurus. It was on June 9th, and then they'll stay there through July 20th. That's its detriment. So it's not too happy there. Okay, well, that's it for this week. And I hope you enjoyed this. And we'll see you next week. More to follow. Bye for now.